Hi everybody and welcome to Ljubljana Talks, third edition of Ljubljana Talks. Here in the studio is with me as always Jan Oršič, director of Ljubljana Convention Bureau, and myself, Gorazd Čad, the editor-in-chief of Congress magazine. Today we will open the topic which we both like very much, which is how to make the meetings industry better. Why we both like this topic? Because it is about sustainability and some other things we like. And I will try to provoke a little bit at the beginning, Jan, with some questions, because I just really fell in love with Copenhagen principles, with the new guide they produced 14 days ago, and it's really amazing. So Jan, how ambitious are you when it comes to reducing carbon emissions, reducing waste and resources, healthy and sustainable food, social responsibility, participants and partner engagement? This is the framework of the new standard from Copenhagen. What can you say about it?
Well, Copenhagen, as always, is showing us the way to go, in a way, and so far they've been really good in everything they've produced. I can say this. I think that next time we could ask Bettina to join us from Copenhagen, and she could tell us more in depth of what they were planning. But I think that everything that you've mentioned, all of these 5 points that are in the matrix, are exactly what we all know we have to work on. And nobody has done the complete circle. Nobody has achieved to be fully sustainable, but it's all the items that we have to take care of. I think that it goes one with the other. You have to be commercially viable, and at the same time you have to be responsible. And I think COVID kind of pushed us all in this direction. I mean, first of all, reducing carbon emissions. This is a huge challenge, planet-wise. Just today it was announced that in the Netherlands they forced Shell that they actually have to go and they have to reduce their carbon emissions. And it's one of the largest carbon emitters in the world, Shell. So, and they are the neighbors of Denmark. So, reducing waste, this is, again, it's something that goes into the direction of circular economy that we have been also talking a lot here in Ljubljana. I think we're all very proud of the fact that we are one of the cities with the highest percentage of recycled trash in the world, one of the highest percentage of divided trash already in households, how our, the location where we take care of all the trash is becoming a tourist attraction. I mean, these are all things that kind of show how we are actually proactive in this area. Of course, again, a lot has to be done. The aim is that we would have a 100% circular economy by 2030. Can we achieve that? Can everything be recycled? Can we reduce the consumption? I think a huge challenge right now is the whole COVID situation, where all these plastics are coming back, all the single-use plastics are coming back. The stuff that we never really thought about becoming a day of every household, and that is a huge package of, single-use masks, for example, or gloves, and all this stuff that before perhaps you had 1 or 2 a year that you had to use for whatever purpose. Now, these are things that are being much more used. So this is a huge challenge. And then health and sustainable food. This is again definitely one of the main cornerstones of where we as society are going. I mean, I don't want to be too long.
No, it's okay. But I just want to come to this, what you already opened, that Ljubljana is really advanced in this field. Of course, what I like in Copenhagen is that they really walk as they talk. This is really way of life. And what is really good of this new system is that you can have high priority on certain fields, medium priority and low priority, which is quite cool actually. So they don't want to force event planners to be really all on high priority. And this is interesting. And this concept actually, you created a framework in Ljubljana which is really, really good in my personal opinion. But now it's up to us, meeting planners, to do what colleagues from Copenhagen are doing. So it's not anymore your problem, but it's a problem of every event planner in Slovenia or coming to Ljubljana actually to play this game actually.
I mean, you know, you have here the social responsibility, and I think the social responsibility perhaps has been on the table for meeting planners for the longest. Social responsibility has been talked about, well, at least 10 years that I can think of.
We can say decade, definitely.
And why? Because we know that social inequality, that there's people that have more, some have less. And when you do an incentive, you want to create, give something back to the society, be a productive member, create the right message of the company. And I think this is a very big challenge, is that yes, you put it on the menu, because this works like a menu. You say, you can do social responsibility, you can do this, you can do that, you can pick and choose whatever you want. If you want white wine or red wine, it's the same sort of a concept. The main question is, how does that influence the value of the experience? How does it impact the value of the event? Can that company afford it? And then there's the odd question, especially this comes through the CSR, things. We used to go out and we used to say, we got all these CSR activities and you can give back to the society this way or the other way. And they can always say, well, we are not going to do that at all because we are perhaps doing something. Perhaps they're not doing anything, but they will make the statement, yes, we are doing this already, we're not doing it. It's not a part of our priority. And all of a sudden you can do this with every aspect of the menu. You can say, well, sustainability, we have planted last year 80 trees, we're fine on that. We have our own policy on once a week we go vegetarian. So it's a very open field.
It is. I will just try to wrap up. These are suggestions again from Copenhagen. Travel options: encourage to travel by train, public transportation. Then plant-based, no food waste. That's what you said right now. And Ljubljana is a perfect city for such things. That's my opinion. Then keep it simple, which is again a great story. Do not complicate with the program, with the actually design of event, which was in before the crisis. Really, it was many times too much, if you ask me, with the light and everything around. So it's again not sustainable. So keep it simple and stupid sometimes. Then bring your own water bottle. Use bicycles. These are simple things. Actually, they're pushing. Then no goodie bags, for example. This is what I like. We were really happy before the crisis with these goodie bags, but actually think about it. It's really waste of energy. And then be inclusive, which is again good in this part of Europe. For example, Slovenia was, the geostrategic position of Slovenia is such that we can attract people from former Yugoslavia, for example. That was always a big plus in attracting big international associations to the region. But are we prepared to be inclusive for all these people coming from this region? Are our business model of events prepared for that? So a lot of questions.
I mean, this is the list that you can really go on and on. I mean, I'll go from the other side.
Okay.
Turn your participants into agents of change. Again, it's a part of education. Does your company push them to be active, to be the agents of change? Is this the message that this company is trying to give or not? The purpose of an incentive. Let's say that we are talking about an incentive here, because we could talk about meetings, we could talk about anything. The main purpose of an incentive is to motivate people to be more productive at their work, whatever it is. Perhaps you don't want to go too much off center on that point. Goodie bags, definitely. Most of the stuff that you would find in goodie bags usually is not really the stuff that you take home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I agree. I think these are very simple solutions. on the other hand, everybody's really happy when you get something, and the little attention and the little this and the little that. A lot of incentives would, insist on giving their staff a small token each day, so that, it's a kind of a beginner of the story that you're trying to build the next day, and so on. We had quite a few, events that would include many factors, or at least would try to factor this in already in the past. I think I'm actually trying to focus myself. Did you notice how many times we say "I think" lately?
Yeah.
Everybody's just saying "I think," and it's a huge challenge. One of the notions that you have here, which was which I really want to touch on, the plant-based, no food waste. This is one thing that, yes, in Ljubljana we have a very strong connection to this.
Just to interrupt, Ivo and Simona, Tatiana, for those who jump later, we are talking about the new sustainable guide from Copenhagen, and we try to compare this to what we are doing here in Ljubljana or in Vienna, Ivo, and in other cities. And I'm personally impressed by what they are doing in Copenhagen, but we try to figure out how ready we are for this new sustainable future, and that's what we're talking about. So feel free, if you want to jump into discussion, you know how it goes. Just raise your hand, and we will put you on the stage. Yeah. So feel free.
We have this matrix with 5 different points that they kind of pinpointed as the main core of how to measure how ambitious you are with your sustainability goals. And we are just trying to figure out what is actually already existing and perhaps what is new. We are trying to, work out a little bit how different elements of this and different implementations would actually impact an event. Because again, you have different events. If you're running a conference, sure, you can say everybody wear a bottle, but everybody use a bike, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Because the question is, where do you get the bikes and where do you leave the bikes and everything in between? So I would say that I have a question for you, because you are an organizer and you do a lot of events. And how do you see actually the interest from the side of the organizer to include this, but not just as a marketing feature, but how would you say that, I don't know, if you're doing a local event, how can you reduce carbon emissions? And so
started with that a long time ago. You know that, Jan, there was a PhD student in our company, actually really a decade ago, and we tried to figure out how to organize green events, and we developed a great metrics. It was 2010 or 2009, and it was obviously at the beginning of the crisis, and the clients were not ready to pay, because at the end of the day, to be honest with you, frankly speaking, the cost of the sustainable event was a little bit, not a little bit higher, but really higher at the end of the day. And then we said, okay, in good years after the crisis, almost everybody forgot about it, and this is the problem. So that's why I'm talking about burnout syndrome of the meetings industry. But now it's coming again on a first place. And now clients are coming really this year for the first time, demanding or asking us, how can we do a real green event? We will do one conference in September. It's for a protection of bears and wild animals. It will be really in one special venue, and we will talk about that, and we will measure the carbon footprint for the first time after a long time, because we have these metrics. And what you can measure, you can improve. This is my message to all the clients. If you are just saying, we are a green event, it's not enough. I mean, it's absolutely not enough. You need to measure the carbon footprint. This is the logic I'm following. Plus, you need to understand that you can do your best to organize green event. You cannot really do a super 100% green event, because it's impossible. The travel itself, it's the biggest issue. Whatever we are doing, at the end of the day, we cannot compensate the travel problem. So basically, quite a lot of challenges. But if you say honestly, and this is also part of our responsibility to the everybody, to the community, that we try to do our best. It's a completely different message. As we say, if we say we are a green event, first in the world, for example.
Yeah.
So this is what we will do definitely at Conventa this year again, because we started, as I said, a long time ago with that. But now it's time to reshape the Conventa also in terms of sustainability, and we will communicate this properly. And the idea we have is that this will be a pilot project also for Ljubljana. You know that, Jan.
Yeah.
We will try to do our best to make it really as green as possible, and we will definitely measure the impact of it.
It's so important to measure it, because I think here we go again. I think the big problem is that we are talking about things, how we are making an impact, but we don't know what the impact is. And like you said, I mean, travel is a huge problem. I mean, exciting things are, happening with electrification, with train connections. Hyperloop, is being announced all over the place. And what's interesting, just like a thought, Hyperloop is advertising one of the main features of using this crazy technology that puts you in a little vehicle that moves through space without any air resistance, or minimum air resistance, traveling at 1,000 kilometers an hour. The main element that they say that will actually be the added value of it is networking.
Yeah.
Because when doing that, you're doing something together with a partner, you're traveling somewhere. And it's like an experience thing. So I think, this is just me talking now, but I think it could become another, little thing in the whole concept of an event that we're designing.
But Jan, we have our own responsibility as meeting planners. So you as a city or as a destination, you can build up the framework, you can create the environment. Like it is, for example, even in Vienna, which is really, in my opinion, number one in Europe in terms of sustainability and so on. But it's up to us, and this is where we cannot escape and say, okay, we do not care. I mean, I need to take care about my own event, and it starts with a lot of things from communication on. So walk as you talk. This is my message to all of you. I mean, this is super important.
I think that is actually the key. Yes, you have to build it and they will come, they say. But at the same time, the main thing about destination sustainability is that it has to be understood by the local population.
Yeah.
You can create, I don't know what kind of schemes, but if you don't have the backing of the local people that will also be included into your event, and they, follow the same storyline, that they defend the sustainability aspects, that they will pick up the trash if they see it on the floor. I think this is the main element of the city building, and then bringing an event into a city where, when your event is surrounded by a city that has a story and that everybody's backing that story, then it makes sense. Just you doing the event on, whatever, and be it in a city that they don't care about these certain factors that you're trying to do, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, a lot of things to do and to rethink, and this will be also the topic of the crossover conference. We will try to rethink the way how we organize events, how we meet, and actually we will try to rethink the whole business meetings and events industry. So it will be an interesting discussion. I'm also planning one round table on that. Probably somebody from Copenhagen will join us, and some other people, and we need to talk about it, and of course educate. And I'm really happy, Jan, that you are doing what you're doing in Ljubljana Convention Bureau. Maybe just to let you know, last week there was a great event organized by Ljubljana Convention Bureau, and I heard really a lot of positive comments. So I
mean, with Ljubljana Tourism in general, we are really striving to walk the talk. I think that's very important, because everything that here we have on the Copenhagen list is one way or the other we are touching on it. Where Ljubljana is getting a lot of points, and I'm not trying to say this because I'm trying to advertise it, but because it's true, and I really believe it. I mean, the first thing I would say is how we were able to connect the local food producers so that they supply our hotels and restaurants with the locally produced food. This is that zero mile philosophy. This is why we created a cookbook with old recipes so that the old types of apples and all kinds of vegetables can be used, so that we have the biodiversity pushed through. You know, that's why there's a species of fish, I will not remember how it's called in English right now, but it was actually very tough how to find enough fish of this type so that they actually can be served in a restaurant. So there's actually a guy who, because of the demand, is now breeding this fish. I want to, you know, and the whole, these green supply chains and the culinary aspects that also my colleagues at Ljubljana Tourism are doing, I think this is very important. When we're talking about social responsibility, where is Ljubljana different? The fact that we have yearly questionnaires of the local population. How do you see tourism? How do you perceive the destination? This is something that not every destination does. It is not logic that a destination does it. And this is how we get the feedback.
May I add something, you know, because it comes to my mind now. It's also about your general manager.
Yeah.
Petra was my colleague at the faculty, so we are both from the same faculty, and I know her very well, so I know what she feels about it. And she was chasing us at the events regarding the plastics 3-4 years ago, when nobody cares about that. You remember, Jan, 5 years ago, plastic, wow, what? But now this is an issue, you know, now we understand how big is this problem actually in the sea. And it goes also with the decision makers. If some, again, walk as you talk, because Petra is so into it, then the whole city actually breathes like a green destination. And yeah, again, I'm repeating myself. We need to really believe in that, and then we can create such events.
Yeah, and we have to participate in it. Yeah,
exactly.
You have to do your part. You have to reduce the waste. You have to buy the more expensive but healthier locally produced foods than the cheapest, which is not always easy, I know. The social responsibility in the long term, you know, it's the vision that Ljubljana wants to be one of the destinations with the highest qualities of life. And that's the long-term vision. And that's the vision in 50 years or whatever. This is something that our grandchildren can enjoy. But we have to make the right steps now that we get there.
Guests of this Clubhouse, Ljubljana Talks, feel free to join us on the stage. Simona, Tatiana, Ivo, Natalia.
If anyone has anything to say, just raise a hand and we'll let you in. But while we wait for the hands, we have this thing in front of us that you cannot see on the app, but you can see on YouTube. And that is a new book in front of us called The Power to the Meetings and written by Gorazd Čad.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm really proud on the book. It was an interesting process. It took me almost 3 years actually to write this book. In between, it's half of the book is before the crisis, before Corona, BC, and half of the book after Corona, after IC. And it was interesting to actually follow this process and try to compare what I knew before the crisis and what I'm doing now actually. So it was a kind of confirmation that the methodology we built up, it's the right one. So it's a book which is focused on the needs of the participants. It's all about that. I believe in that. So it's not about, I don't know, big shows and ideas anymore, but it's so-called, we can use the word micro. It's about micro experience for every single participant you have at your event. And yeah, it's I'm proud actually and happy to do it.
Now I'm going to be a little bit provocative, and I'm going to ask you, if we're talking about how to make the meetings industry better, and at the same time you're saying power to the meetings, how do you see this come together?
Oh, perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. It's also about rock and roll, which you understand very well. So basically, I started with the idea when people provoke me, Gorazd, you are non-stop talking about rock and roll, that the meetings are the same as rock and roll and so on. And explain this more in details, and that's how it started. I said, okay, we are quite similar to the band. When you are playing on the stage, you know, the energy is amazing, and it's exactly the same feeling when you are organizing event. These are different roles maybe, but it's like that you are a band, you know, playing for the audience, né? And what audience gives you back, it's amazing if you know how to do it. And this is this microcosmos of meeting planning, you know. This is all about. It's all about that energy, and this it's a never-ending process, you know. You want to go back on the stage, am I right?
Yeah, of course.
Again and again and again, and of course, out of, I don't know, 100 events, in my personal opinion, just 10 are those you can really be proud, you know. Yeah. But all around, it's a serious business. So it's that simple idea is also built in. So we are not just organizers of logistics, not at all. This is what I would like to explain with this book. And all the colleagues I'm working with, they understand that and they live that life.
I have a question. So when we do events and we do the meetings and we do, you know, all these international things, and we talk about giving the power to the meetings, and I agree with you. I think meetings have been a part of the human ID, the DNA, the idea of humanity. Homo sapiens is about thinking and about meeting and about sharing the ideas and learning and growing. But at the same time, but at the same time, there is that dark side of meetings. Yeah. How do you address that in the book?
With many things. First of all, there is a whole chapter about green and sustainable events. There is a whole chapter how to actually be responsible to the participants, to the speakers, to the environment. This is really a big part of the story. But basically, as I said, this is in the DNA of every participant coming to an event to meet. You know, I used to say that like music, meetings are universal. Meetings are a universal language. Everybody understands that. You know, and it was a shock for the world when everything stopped. Né? And it's still a shock in a way that if we will not meet properly, and it could be in digital space or in hybrid way, then the whole society is in danger. This is what we are talking about, Jan. So basically, if somebody starts to control this freedom we have through the meetings, it's the same again. It goes well with the rock and roll. Then we are in trouble. Then we are in big troubles. So you understand my point?
Yeah.
So it's about freedom too. When we meet, we change the world. That was the slogan of MPI. I like that slogan very much. I'm repeating this slogan. So really, when we meet, we can really change the world. Imagine all these scientific breakthroughs. They are based on meetings.
I agree. I mean, the whole. I really like that analysis that the iceberg has done on, you know, the impact of meetings. Yeah. And you have 13 different points on which, you know, impacts are done. And of course, the most basic ones are, you know, what is the economic impact? Okay, so many people fly. We've done some really good research in this field also here in Ljubljana, and generally globally. There's some really good numbers that we have, you know, made on really big samples, and we've repeated them year through year. And this is one of the things that's very important, of course. The second one already becomes a little bit less tangible, and that is, you know, the secondary economic impact. How many people, you know, prolong their stay or come a day early. Then we have the networking as such. So how many people meet other people, how inclusive that is. But then there's a whole list of these impacts that are going into brownfield investments and greenfield investments and scientific collaborations and destination understanding, and it's a really broad part of how, and this is where, you know, I think we both agree, meetings are an essential part of not just economic value but of a society.
Ivo, you are invited, just invite to speak. Ivo, stage is yours.
So good afternoon to everybody. Hello.
Hey. Hi, Ivo.
You just triggered something, Jan, when you said also it's a little bit about the recognition that what our industry can actually do and be initiator, setting the stage for many things, and because sustainability has been obviously a topic within our industry for many years, but before COVID-19 we were so focused on the green side of it, and we were so defensive by always excusing our industry for being such a bad, boy when it comes to green environment and what we not do. I think it's really time now, and COVID-19 might give us the opportunity to turn the table and speak more about the ability of sustainability than the sustaining side of sustainability. And I think this is what you rightfully said. So I think we should go out there and be more proud of our industry, not finding reasons to excuse our impact, but rather being the initiator. Because I don't know, probably the UN, they call it circle of sustainability. So it's more than the green and the social, which is a circle of 4 elements. And I think our industry could be a leader in shaping, in defining sustainability and not just following it. So that's a little bit what I think. And maybe now we have, as I said, it's about rock and roll, it's about changing the world. I think we should be a little bit more daring and a little bit more self-assured about our industry, and then we would have an impact on sustainability, but not only by following it or meeting requirements, but really by shaping it.
Ivo, thank you for this. I think this is a perfect. Really good comment, and I'm really glad to have this conversation. How would you see it? Because, you come from Vienna, from Austria, from understanding the destination, from one of the best destinations for meetings in the world, let's be honest. But I have a question. How do you see not only being able to change the perspective and saying, let's change how our industry is viewed, but how do we have to change our industry that it would be viewed the way we want it to be seen?
Also, thank you very much, Jan. That's obviously one of the major questions. How can we get out of our world we have created, and how can we make other people understand actually the true value and the potential of our business world industry, if you want to call it industry. I think it's a step-by-step process. I think we really need to rethink, as Gorazd said it just before, we still have the habit of approaching everything from an operational, tactical, planning perspective. We are all kind of operational people when we talk about our industry. We should really dare to start, the question why comes always first before you do the how and the what. And it can only change by us raising the voice and not just making noise by using different argumentations towards our stakeholders. And it's going to be an uphill struggle. It's not going to happen from today to tomorrow. But I think it's worthwhile to try, because this is where really our industry, with all stakeholders involved, can be really more than necessary just fulfiller of some operational or tactical elements to create an event where everybody comes together. Hopefully it works out and is happy, and all elements of the puzzle fall into place. It's just much more of that. But if I would have the recipe for that, probably I would in the meantime be already retired and sitting on an island enjoying my license fee for the recipe. But I think it's a joint effort, and I mean it in a positive way. And I think COVID-19 gave us a good kick in the butt, made us do things which we were maybe discussing before, but never really dared to, and now I think it's a good opportunity. But it needs a common effort. It needs a constant redefinition and rethinking and redefinition of our industry. I don't know whether this is a proper answer, but this is as good as it gets.
I think it is.
Absolutely agree. That's why power to the meetings. Thanks, Ivo. So there are many things inside, but as I said, basically it's also about freedom. If you want to be free people, creative people, then we need to meet. And this is in my personal opinion, sometimes in danger, maybe from your point of view, from Vienna, it's not like that, but there are some countries where this is not an issue, but I'm not a politician. I'm not entering into this.
I think it's not just a question of that. I think it's a global situation where our industry, as a global industry, as a part of tourism industry, the largest industry in the world, the largest global economic mover in a way, the largest reason for people to move around the world, we have been now put into a situation where we have been taken out of the comfort zone. And it's about how do we apply what we've just learned if we don't want to go back to the same comfort zone. We need to go to a better comfort zone where we are safer, where, exactly as you, Ivo, said, we want to bring people together. We want to, prove that our industry is one that really adds a lot to the society. And that's a huge, huge factor, I think.
That's why talking about the book, a lot of words in the book is about content, which is again a focus. So again, we can talk for hours about that, but in this world now we are living, of fake news and so on. Again, trustful information, trustful words from people you trust or from influencers. This is what is really important. So many layers of this story you open, Ivo, we need to cover, and we need to be bolder than we were before, and that was the reason why I wrote this book at the end of the day.
But it's such a great thing that we have, books being written and messages being shared, and this is, I think it's a huge achievement. So I have to say again, congratulations on writing a book on how to become a better industry.
Thanks, Jan. So if you have anything to add, or if anybody wants to go on a stage, please raise your hands and feel free. Otherwise, our half an hour, it's already 40 minutes, so we will slowly finish. We promise you half an hour of Ljubljana Talks, not more.
Well, if you want more, you'll get more.
No problem. Yes.
But thank you for being here with us today, and we hope that it was a nice event for you, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks with probably a really interesting guest, a lady. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. Bye-bye.